Welcome to the Gentleman's Talk, where the podcast talks about a man's battle with mental health, his personal experiences, and his journey to be a better soul. Hosted by James Dean Littlejohn.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Gentleman's Talk. I hope we're okay, and hope we're hope we're doing all right. I've jumped on early today, actually. So when I say early, for me, I'm recording this at 8:30 in the morning after my podcast last night. For you, it depends on when you're listening. But I've jumped on early because I felt sort of empowered from yesterday's podcast, opening up about sleep, but just giving me that extra reflection. And also, I went out for a walk last night. I've really been actively trying to battle this. So I went out for a walk and just reflected quite heavily with the dog, just kind of moseying on through. It was a late one, but this spring, summertime is a beautiful time to get out amongst nature because you can kind of see all the changes, and it's just sort of kind of relevant to how I feel in summer, to be honest with you. In summer, I do flourish myself. I get out amongst the sun. I'm up, sort of not up later, but I'm outside for longer because it's not so cold. Although last night wouldn't have said that because last night was fucking freezing. But I reflected last night quite heavily, just because I'm kind of trying to battle this, and that's like an important little sort of phrase, battle, isn't it? Let's battle this. Because it is. Mental health is a constant battle, and I think that it's sometimes easy to lose track and lose sight of that and understanding that it's a battle, because if you're anything like me, when you get that sort of high of life and, you know, you get the adrenaline rush and you've organised something with your friends and you feel great, and if you've listened to my podcasts over the months, you'll understand and probably get to gauge when I've done things with my friends or family, or, you know, done something that excites me, it completely and utterly transforms my mood. No, that's difficult because when that isn't there, and you know, let's face it, I'm not a millionaire. I'm not, you know, a celebrity that can, you know, pump out that sort of excitement all the time because it's just unsustainable and unaffordable. So we have to learn to manage this, and that's where I struggle, if I'm brutally honest. I struggle in the sense that I don't know how to manage it because it's just difficult because it manifests in different ways for me. So sometimes it can make me really, you know, really low. Sometimes it can make me just a little bit more motivated, but still low, but motivated to do some certain things. So, you know, I'll jump in, do a bit of DIY or something like that. So it just depends on how it manifests, to how I deal with it. And, you know, rightly so, it's a battle, you know, and it is a constant battle. So I've been battling this last night. And I went out for a long walk last night, and just also noting that the more I talk, the more I'm open, the more I'm understanding my own rhythm and how things affect me. And it was ironic, actually, because I have to address the fact that my best friend, who's engaged with me every single day, and to be honest, spotted this a long while away. And he messaged me this morning, actually, which was really, really refreshing because we talk every day. I didn't talk to him last night because I just shut myself away. I literally had gone into that mode where, and you'll probably understand that from the likes of the How About app and removing that and kind of going, no, fucking, I've had enough now, fuck off or everyone, I'm not going to bother. Now, that is where I go to. When I get into a negative space, I go to the point where nobody's showing interest in me. That's how I feel anyway. They are showing interest in me, but that's how I feel. And I shut myself away and I removed myself off everything. And last night I was sat there going, all right, fuck everyone. I'm coming off of this. I'm coming off that. I ain't fucking interacting with people. Now, I'm trying to grasp that before it gets to, you know, before it manifests into like just pure negativity. So I was like, no, shut down, fucking switch off, James, just go for a long walk. Went for a walk, reflected on everything, and I am actually learning, even just talking yesterday about sort of kind of how I craved sugar, how I craved like Skittles and Tang Fastics and all these. I crave these certain sweets because they're loaded with sugar. And that's ultimately what I crave. I crave that constant high. I crave always just, it's exhausting to try and crave that all the time. And that's how I live. And he said to me this morning, he said, James, I want to tell you to relax. He said, because I didn't talk to him yesterday, but he said, I'm here for you, brother, and all this, which is so refreshing to hear. And ultimately, that's, why we've been friends for 28 years, because he recognises when I'm feeling low and puts aside the selfishness to go, I'm here for you. And like you said, rang me last night. I didn't ring him back. And that was what I did. I shut down, and he's like, I'm just here for you when you are. And he said to me this morning, I'm not going to tell you to relax because I know you don't like relaxing. And it's weird because I've taken this time off to relax, because last week I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to have a week off. I'm going to feel great. I'm going to relax. I'm going to do fuck all. And then I get to the week and I go, right, what am I doing? Why am I doing fuck all? This is horrendous. And then I just fucking shut down, and then I expect everyone to fill the void. And that void doesn't get filled, rightly so. Everyone's got their own path and journey that they're on. So I then get to the point where I start fucking resenting everybody. And it's like, it's a constant cycle of emotions. And for me, that's what I had to try and target. And I was like, right, stop relying on everybody to fucking fill the void that you have in your life, as in is created by your mental health. Try and find a way that's more sustainable, that you can manage it. And ultimately, that was just about planning my head. And it's weird. I keep talking about these things in podcasts. I keep saying, fucking, yeah, talk, be open, fucking get out there, do this, do that. And then I completely and utterly turn it on its head and don't listen. And then I'm like, well, actually, James, you're not getting out there. You're not sticking to your routine. And you're not getting exercise, fitness routinely. So all these things, I was like, actually, James, I think you need to fucking stop and listen. And actually, I did. I went out for a long walk last night. I woke up this morning again, got back into my routine. I woke up at 7:30 this morning. Despite being off, I went, no, get up and look at me. Listen to me. I feel positive. I've not overslept. I've had my 7.5 hours sleep, so slightly over, noting that it is my time off, so an extra half an hour is a, blessing in disguise. But yeah, I kind of sort of managed it and just gone, right, that's it. Let's sort this out. And I messaged my mate this morning and said, please ring me this afternoon. Let me know roughly what time, not for planning, but because I don't get signal in my house. So it is really, really like, sometimes I don't even get the call. So I'm like, just give me a rough sort of time so I can be outside ready in my cabin, and I'll sit down, put the TV on, and we can just chew the fat while he drives home. But noting that was working for me, I really enjoyed listening to him about his day and talking about my day. And that was like a fundamental aspect to my day. So I was like, don't remove that. Just fucking get back into it. Stop shutting people away. Stop disengaging. Stop turning. And it was weird because I was looking on social media and I was instantly going, fucking, what are you looking, fucking you doing this, I'm like, it's horrible. But that's the way the mental health works. You don't get to decide this. It's really important. I don't get to choose how I react. What I do get to do is I get to choose the outcome of my reaction. And that's what I'm learning to develop. I'm learning to develop the outcome. So I'm learning to recognise the signs and symptoms. And that kind of draws me on a little bit, actually, to sort of a mixture of things, really. But it was refreshing that I've got a good friend of mine that is learning about my condition, is actively learning, actively offering me advice, and really just being there for me on my journey. And that's like an amazing thing, because we don't often get that. In fact, it's rarer than rocking horse shit. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a British phrase. I have to say this because that's a bit of a British phrase for the outside. Rare as rocking horse shit, because rocking horses don't shit because they're made of wood. So just to give you a little bit of context to that one, but I like that phrase. But it is rare, and he's showing that enthusiasm, which is in turn is saying to me, well, if he's going to show that enthusiasm, then show the enthusiasm for your own fucking mental health, James. Pull yourself out. But and this isn't a man up situation. This is basically I've got the skill set now, and I've developed the skill set to try and manage this. I know what my problem is. Even he said it to me this morning. He's like, you do this, I know what you're like when you have a week off and you've got nothing planned. I'm like, well, I fucking don't know that. But I do. But I just choose to ignore it because my mental health tends to take over. But the importance of talking, and rightly so, last night when I spoke about things, and the day before, even though I've struggled and those podcasts aren't the best, but they are the best because they're showing the raw emotion. They're showing what I'm going through. And at the same time, they're showing that consistency and routine are really important. But being open, about your feelings and about your emotions and talking about them is so fucking important. And it's given me the drive, and like I said, I've been in this pace before, and normally this will last the whole fucking week and I'll shut myself away. In actual fact, no, I've done the opposite. I've kind of gone, no, grip it, get on with it, and get some stuff planned. So today I'm going down to open up a bank account with my daughter, going out for a walk with my daughter with a dog, a nice long walk. This afternoon I've got a few bits to do around the house, and then ultimately the rest of the week is with my family and wife. So it's there, and I've looked at fates, and it's Jubilee weekend, so there's so much going on that there's no reason to be shut down. And I can't really pinpoint why I shut down, to be honest with you. It's kind of like, it's just, I constantly need to be on that drive. I constantly need to be thinking. It's even like then, whilst I'm talking to you, my mind's diverting to making sure that my charger for my watch is straight. I do lose focus quite quickly, but this draws me on to, and I want to cast my mind back, because I did last night, and I cast my mind back to about 8 years ago, and when I first sort of kind of saw the signs and symptoms that I knew something was wrong. And it's really highlighting the fact that if you see these signs and symptoms, it's not really, because I recognised the signs, there was something different with me, and I recognised there was something wrong, but, and this isn't trying to articulate this in the right way, this isn't a drawback to anyone that was around me at the time, because this is more of an educational piece. It's more about understanding that when people go through these mental health conditions, this is really shown in abundance with my friend learning about my condition. It's really important to look for the signs and symptoms and understand the signs and symptoms, because mental health now is such a big issue. And I don't mean an issue as in like, it's fucking problematic, because it's not problematic, because we don't get to choose the stress that we put under, and we don't get to choose how our body reacts to that stress. But it's really important to recognise the signs and symptoms. Now, I cast my mind back to a little while ago, so I'd say it's about 7 years ago, and I remember being stood outside the front of my house, and I don't know, hopefully, if I've not spoke about this, then you're going to learn something. If you've heard about it, then you'll know, but it's more about the educational side of things. But I remember being stood out the front of my house, and for about 4 months, I'd been getting up late in the morning, about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. I'd been going out for a walk with my dog from 12 till about 2, just a couple of 3 miles, really long walk. I did lose quite a bit of weight that way. And then coming back, and then I was going to bed at 3 o'clock till 6 o'clock. And then I was having my dinner, and then I was falling asleep or going to bed early. I did that for about 3 or 4 months. Now, that to me, now I've been educated, rings alarm bells. It's like, fucking nobody needs to sleep that much. And I was sleeping all night, and I was doing that routine, and I did that for about 4 months. And I can cast my mind back and know that I remember sitting in bed going, what is the purpose to life? What is the fucking point of life? Why the fuck am I here when all I'm doing is sleeping all the time and walking a dog and sleeping and walking a dog? Nobody fucking cares. And I did. That's what I thought. Nobody fucking cared. And I remember, and this is no detriment to the person that I'm going to talk about here, and I have to reiterate that because it's an educational piece for a reason. And I remember being stood out, and I was on the road, in the middle of the road, outside the front of my house, and I was talking to my mum, and I said to my mum, and again, please let me understand, this is not a negative against my mum. This is the fact that, she was, sort of born in the late 60s, so she's not really come through. So mental health for that generation is kind of like, it's almost like a mollycoddle thing. And if you talk to anyone in their 60s and say anything about mental health, they'll probably understand it a little bit now because they've learned it is quite big. But if you asked anyone from that sort of era, truly, and I mean truly, without having anyone around them that's had an interesting condition. But I must caveat that with my boss when I told him about it, and I said about my mental health, and he said, and his one of his family members was going through something, and he kind of went, I think it's a bit fluffy. I think it's a bit mollycoddled. Sorry, there was a bird trying to eat my grass seed. Get off my grass seed, I'll pay for that. But it's... Sorry, I lost my track of thought there. So it's not a dig at them, but I remember being... It's like I say, we are educating ourselves, and I'm 20 years, sort of younger than my mum. So for me, it's kind of... I'm learning it a little bit more, but it's. I think that I think really that my generation is kind of the one that's taken grasp of this and really run with it. The younger generation, I think, dare I say it, kind of, it's a little bit more abused, I think, than it has been in the past. I think we need to find a nice middle ground, because mental health, unfortunately, can be easily abused because you can't spot the signs. You can spot the signs, but they can be manipulated quite easily. So it is a bit of a touchy subject at present, with regards to a lot of generations. But I remember speaking to my mum, and I sat there and I said, Mum, and I explained to her what was wrong, and I said, look, I don't know, there's something wrong. I'm sleeping all the time. I'm sad all the time. I don't want to be here. And I remember my mum saying to me, she said, and I burst into tears, and I was fucking crying my eyes out, and I was like on the phone, and she went, don't worry, son, it will pass. And I went, well, I don't know what this is. And again, this was 7 years ago, so I was very uneducated in this. And she said, well, no, it'll pass. It's just, you've had an accident, you've had a bit of a trauma, you'll get through it. Just keep focused and, just get out and about and do things. That was almost the rhetoric of the conversation, how it went. Obviously, now we are, the more I talk about this, the more I understand actually, it doesn't pass. If anything, without help, it does just manifest into greater things, greater problems. And it did. I then learned traits, stuck with those traits, negative traits all the time, and I went massively downhill over the next 7 years. And it's only really this last 6 months where I've gone, fucking grip your shit, mate. As in, like, there's got to be a way. You don't have to live through this constantly. There must be something you can do to better yourself, to promote healing, to try and at least live with it. Acknowledging that, certainly my 2 illnesses, permanent PTSD and ADHD, I'm not going away. They're going to be here for life. So I need to learn to manage them. And again, rightly so, I'm only just learning about the ADHD aspect, and how it manifests and how it sort of works. And also I'm putting it into sort of context of previous experiences with myself and how I've dealt with other scenarios. And like I said, the fact that I crave sugar all the time. All these sort of things I'm learning and I'm adapting and going, okay, well, that would explain why I did that. So it's a constant, like I said at the start, it's a constant battle. So, like I said, I cast my mind back, and I remember sitting there to my mum, and I said this to her, and I remember going over at Christmas, and this was just for Christmas. So, this was just after Christmas, sorry. And when I spoke to my mum, she was like, yeah, you've been a bit of a dick over Christmas. Bearing in mind, I spent time over Christmas with my family, and it was about 2 weeks after the accident. About 2 or 3 weeks after my first ever accident was when this started going a bit Pete Tong. And she was like, yeah, you were a bit of a dick, bit wayward, bit lost over Christmas. And I was like, I wasn't really here. I'd had a car crash, and I was in crippling pain. I could barely fucking walk. I'd gone over. I was living on fucking painkillers, so I was zonked out all the time. And but it's interesting how you look at somebody, and rather than going, and this is where the educational piece comes in, rather than looking at someone and going, right, they're sleeping all the time, they're out of character, they're moody, they're they're lost, they look lost, rather than looking at those symptoms and going, fucking hell, is everything all right? And taking me aside and going, you know, we need to go for a walk, or can we meet somewhere private and we can have a talk, which is what I do all the time with people that I know that are like that now. I take them aside and go, is everything okay? Because I recognise the signs, I recognise the symptoms, and it is not, if you can get that early, fucking get on it, jump on it, you know, trampoline onto that bad boy. It is so important to recognise those problems and try and help somebody. And so I never had that. I never had that for years. Nobody pulled me aside and said, is everything okay? And again, this isn't a negative piece against other people, so please don't look at this. There'll be people around me that are going, oh, fucking hell, I did. No, I'm not looking at it as a negative. At the time, you hide it very well. You learn to hide it. You learn to try and put on that brave face. But there's always going to be cracks in that fucking in that philosophy, and it's those cracks you need to look for, because those cracks are the ones where you can get in and go, fucking, there's my entry point. Pull him aside. Is everything okay? How are you? How are you feeling? You don't seem your normal self. These are key words that, you know, you need to sort of try and open up a dialect with people and go, I've noticed you're out of character. I notice you're not as, you know, on point as you normally are. You're sleeping a lot, or do you know what I mean? You're in a low mood and you're shutting yourself away. Because I've done all this. I've shut myself away. I've slept all fucking day, all night. I've struggled to sleep for the last fucking I've struggled to sleep for years. And for me, it's kind of like, those are the signs that you need to be recognising and looking for, and finding that entry point to get in and ask that person if they're okay. Because it's so important to have that on side. And to be honest, the only reason I've come out of this so early is because I know for a fact I've got a very good friend of mine who's actively contacted me, not the other way round, because with everyone else, again, I've stopped contacting people and all of a sudden, you know, I'm not getting contact back. So it's kind of works both ways, doesn't it? But with Kieran, and I will say his name because he's been the rock. He's been that kind of person that's shown me, is learning about me. He's trying to understand me. He's engaging with me every day, even to the point where he's putting things into context with me. And saying, oh, that'd be why you did this. The reason you craved that sugar is because what ADHD mental health or medication does, is what he told me this morning, is it gives you a slow release to manage those. And I did caveat that with, I didn't want to take medication for this. But the more you read into it, the more you understand it. It's like a tablet for depression. I've been taking a tablet for depression for 5 years now. There's still a stigma behind that. There's still a bit of a taboo. Oh, you take antidepressants. What? So I take a tablet to function daily to make myself be an organised, functional adult. Well, if you're going to look at that as a negative, then fuck you. You know, it's as simple as that. Because there shouldn't be a stigma behind a tablet helping you to function on a daily basis, to make you a functioning adult. Because without that tablet, I'm fucking moody. I'm sleepy all the time. My anger just fucking through the roof because I get frustrated with things. So if I can take a little tablet that can manage that daily to help me to get, and it's got me to the point where I am now. I started taking that tablet 5 years ago, and within that 5 years, I've gone from being a Tech 1, so to speak, supervisor in my last role, right up to site manager. Functioning at a high level as a site manager, moving into a new job, starting a new job, burning my way through the year to try and get as educated as possible, and to the point where now I'm a senior executive officer. So if it's given me the ability to do all of that and move back home and be a father and husband again, if it's given me that, then this little fucking tablet, mate, is invaluable to me. It's literally, it's the blue tablet out of fucking, the Matrix. Do you know what I mean? Which one are you taking? I'll take the blue one because it's going to help me fucking function daily. So, if anything, remove that stigma right a fucking way from somebody taking an antidepressant to function, because it's got me to where I am now. It's got me to be a functioning adult, and it's got me on track. So if I have to take something for ADHD, then so be it. I have to do it. If it helps me manage this constant, crave for attention and constant crave for learning and being motivated all the time, if it can manage that, then so be it. Then I will take it alongside, provided it doesn't conflict with each other, which is something I need to discuss with my doctor. Then so be it. Then I'll do it. But it's interesting how that is the support you need to offer to your friends, is learning about their conditions, engaging with them and keeping on top of that, because it's so important to engage initially and then move on. But we can all learn from this. I mean, mental health isn't going away. If anything, it's getting worse. The more and more we live in high-functioning worlds, the more technology you chuck at us, the more stress that you put on us. Because when you think about it, if you cast your mind back to 10 years ago when we didn't have, or even 20 years ago, when we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have all these things, these distractions of life, we didn't have computers functioning to the level they are now. It was quite a simple world to live in. Do you know what I mean? I cast my mind back to being a child and how easy it was to go around your mate's house, knock on the door, go out and play. Whereas now, children have to deal with social media, bullying, internet bullying, because you don't get away from it. If you had a bully at school, for instance, your bully would be at school and you wouldn't socialise them with outside of school, so you never really interacted with them. However, now with social media, bullying can be 24/7. You can literally live and breathe bullying. So it's a fucking horrible place to live in. So if anything, the way that we are now with our technology and the way that we're expecting people to function at high levels 24/7 without switching off. I switch my mobile phone off, I switch my laptop off, I switch everything off. I don't turn it on now because I've noticed that when I do that, it consumes me. The writing's on the wall. You're going to be exhausted staring at a fucking screen all day, answering questions 24/7. So I'm learning to adapt and switch things off, and I do that in the evenings. Like 9 o'clock now, I switch my phone off. I go, it's done. It goes onto silent, and when I want to look at it, I'll look at it. I don't listen to pings and pongs and pop-de pings. I don't listen to any of that. I just go, fucking shut my phone off, put it on silent, and I carry on. And 9 o'clock's my day. The reason I don't switch it off is because, unfortunately, I am at that age where, you need to be taking phone calls in case someone's passed away. And as morbid as that sounds, it's not meant to be morbid. It's meant to be on the fact that you might have a phone call that, I mean, Christ Almighty, I remember casting my mind back a few years ago, and my mum and dad, they switched their phone off all the time. At 9 o'clock, I think they switched their phone off, and I remember at about 11:30 getting a phone call from my auntie saying, I don't know the home number to your mum and dad's. And bearing in mind, I hadn't rung my mum and dad's home phone for years and years and years, but I knew the number. I still know the number now. So they were like, I need to get hold of you because, unfortunately, my nan passed away from coronavirus. She had underlying conditions, major underlying conditions, but that just tipped her over the edge. It just it was just that little floater, and it was always going down as coronavirus anyway because the government dictated that. So she rang me and said, I can't get hold of your mum and we need to get to hospital now. And luckily I managed to ring the house phone and woke my mum up and they were obviously a little bit, sort of, there's the word and I can't spit it out, but they were a little bit sort of kind of, on the end of the phone going, yeah, what's up? Why are you ringing me at 11:30 at night? And I was like, well, I'm being rung at 11:30 at night. I've been woken up. You're being woken up. And I told them. So it's important to have your phone on because they need to get to hospital before the last minutes with my nan. So anyway, little digression there, but just the importance of how we manage our phones, but we still need our phones to function on a daily basis. Excuse me a second. Just needed to get my heart track back on track then. I was getting a bit excited. But we need to learn to adapt. We need to learn to evolve. We need to learn to put the social media down. We need to learn to just live within ourselves, live within our little bubble. And reflection time is so important. This has got me to the point where I'm doing this podcast today because of the reflection time, the time I've given myself to analyse everything. And it's important that we look for those signs, not from an internal point, not from me to look for the signs in myself, because when you've got mental health, you'll never find the signs. You'll never look at. I looked at the signs 7 years ago. Before. Wow, it was about 10 years ago actually. 7 years ago is when I was diagnosed. So it was about 9 years ago, because it had been about a year in when I really felt the signs. But underpinning that with, and I love that word, underpin, the fact that I told my mum this, and it's kind of one of those things. I reached to my mum because I was like, it's my mum. My mum knows everything. You know, you think to yourself, your mum and dad, they're the fucking be all and end all of everything. They've raised you. They know the signs. You know, you expect them to know everything, and it's crazy how we do that. It's like my children. They expect me to know fucking absolutely everything. They come and ask me questions, and I'm like, I have no idea. What's this? I don't know. I left school fucking 20 odd years ago, love. Nearly 30 years ago. Yeah, you know, I haven't got a fucking clue. So it's kind of like, but you expect that. You expect your parents to know. So when I told my mum, you know, this is what's happening, you know, crying my eyes out, which is unusual for me because I'm not an emotional person. She was like, no, it'll pass. You're just feeling a bit... And she said it with empathy. So I must underpin, because it's a good word to use, I must underpin with that the fact that she did say it with empathy. So it was what she assumed was the right support. Because I remember the conversation, clear as day, that she was sat there and she went, it'll pass, son. You know, we would let you know that we're here, we love you. And that was the important bit. And the reason I don't turn it into a negative was because it was underpinned with that fucking whole, we love you, you'll get through this, it'll be fine. Noting that it went on further and further, manifested. But that was because there was no real support then. There's no real, I mean, it's even now, there's no support out there. I mean, we can talk about mental health all we want. And I think that's why it's important to... certainly for me, I do these podcasts because they help me personally, they help me to grow, but also because it shows up, it's offering awareness, it's offering the support out there, people to listen to, because there isn't support there. We haven't got the resources. There's no funding in the system to provide the resources. So you're almost, this is a crippling illness that we're being asked to, you know, go along with and just deal with. And like I said, I've spoke about the stats of the suicide rate from this. And when you look at it, okay, you don't compare it to something like cancer, because cancer is crippling, and you know, the rate of that is unbelievable. I remember the rate being something like 1 in 5, and at the moment it's like 1 in 3, probably even 1 in 2 actually. I think the last stat is people are going to get cancer. That's how much it's gone through the roof. And that's because of the pandemic, etc., etc. It's put major pressure on the NHS system. But we are fortunate to have the NHS system because, you know, American counterparts and other people don't have that luxury. So we feel very privileged for that. But it is under massive, massive strain at the moment. So what's going to take a back seat? Well, of course, cancer, we want that to be, you know, on point and keeping up with that, because... as somebody in my family, my father has experienced that, had it, and had it quite badly. Been through radiotherapy, luckily caught it before chemotherapy. But for me personally, that's a really good resource. So mental health, these podcasts are invaluable to help people to see the signs. And more importantly, like I said, from the educational factor, it's looking for the signs in your friends and noting when they're not themselves, and having the confidence to dive in a bit deeper, but more so having the confidence to go in and ask the question, are you okay? Because people can battle this, and I've battled it internally for years and years and years. 10 years I've battled this internally and not shown the signs. Well, I've shown the signs, but the signs weren't recognisable by other people. And at the same time, it's got me to actually deal with it myself, and that's what I'm doing. I've grabbed the bull by the horns, and you know, and I'm fucking riding that. You know, I'm riding that bull across the fucking bucking bronco to try and beat it. I mean, it's not going to be beaten, but I'm trying to manage it. And it's so important to see the signs when people are sleeping too much, when they're out of character, when they're, you know, if they're low moods, or they're doing things that aren't usual, like I said, out of character, then you need that confidence to go in and go, there's something wrong. And it might take more than one time to say that, though, because from my experience, I never wanted to show that there was something wrong myself. So for me, I was like, no, I'm fine. What are you on about? Fucking. And I remember my mate Kim, when I was working with him, saying, you need to go home, mate. You don't fucking look right. And I remember being borderline tears, going, no, fuck off. I need to just fucking keep on with my day. And I did. I kept on with my day and I kept functioning. And then I'd go home and I'd exhaust myself, go to sleep. But I did that on my private and my own home, or my own room at the time. So now I go, no, I'm fucking not right. And for me personally, the bit that's invaluable is, like I said, him learning about me and helping me. So he's like, this morning, sent me a message saying, I'm here for you, brother. Whenever you need, get out there, do some things, organise some stuff, etc., etc. Giving me that boost that I needed and that support I needed to get out and do it. So that he knows that this is horrible for me. I mean, most people love a week off, and I do. I love a week off, but I'm the type of person that I can't wait to be able to afford to have a week off and just go on fucking holiday and do things and go somewhere. That's the ultimate goal, and that's what I'm trying to undo years or a couple of years of living at the lower end of the scale, living in negative equity, if you like, because I had to better my life. So taking that antidepressant gave me the ability to go and start a new job. That new job was underpaid compared to what I was used to for a long period of time. So it gave me the drive to work to a point where I can get more money and support myself. But I still have to undo that side of things. So, but eventually it will come and I can manage this better. Because at the end of the day, to do exciting things, you do need finances. It's an awful thing. But I'm learning, and even coming on today, I feel a little bit light today. I feel a little bit like just then. I feel good that I'm able to talk about this and able to show these signs and actually go, do you know what? I wasn't in the right place. I was shutting myself away. I did last night, and I was conscious of that when I was sat there going, fucking fuck everybody. I'm coming off. I'm not interested. Nobody's engaging with me. And it is a battle, and it's a horrible battle. Because at the same time, from the outside perspective, I do shut myself away. I do turn myself away from certain opportunities because I'm concerned that it's not going to be of a benefit. It's not going to do this. It's not going to. And I sort of overanalyze a lot of things, and that, if anything, that's detriment to going forward and advancing, isn't it? Because you're overanalyzing things, which means you're not giving the spontaneity and not go for it. But I'm learning so much. I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I do have to go down and spend some time with my daughter and get a bank account, which I'm excited about. But I want to jump on and just say to you, it's going to be okay. But also, if you're a friend that's listening to this, with a friend that's potentially showing these signs, these symptoms, please, please, please reach out to them. Sit them aside, but don't do it in a public place. Don't do it via text message. Don't do it via, ringing them. If you've got a genuine concern, make the effort to try and see them. If you think that it's that bad, it might be a phone call, never a text message. Text messages are so impersonal. It might be a phone call. It might be a text message that has started the phone call, though. I've had a couple of people talk to me, friends-wise, and said, I had a mate contact me and he's not in the greatest of places and I don't really know how to deal with it. And I've gone, fucking phone him straight away. If you can phone him and make sure he's okay. That'll be the start for 10. If you get through the barrier, arrange to go and see them face to face. Actually physically feel their pain or see the whites of their eyes, see if they're suffering and how you can help them. But that friendly face, I relish in getting phone calls. I relish in learning about people. Even though I battle my own mental health and it is a battle and I go, fuck everybody, shut myself away, you need to be tenacious. You need to just keep offering that support, because when you're in your darkest of moments, and I've been there, and you're sat there and you go, no one fucking likes me, no one fucking shows any interest in me. If you've got something that goes, do you know what, I'm sat here right now, why am I sat here? My mates fucking contact me all the time. My mates ring me all the fucking time. My mate says to me, I'm here for you all the time. And that will always sit in the back of your mind. At the time it happened to me, and this was only 7 months ago, I had nobody. I felt I had nobody. Now, that wasn't a detriment to them, because I don't suppose they realised how important it was. And hopefully I'm highlighting these issues and concerns in my podcasts. This is where the educational piece comes in. And I've learning to adapt with them. And they're learning to adapt with me. And I don't get to that point now where I sit there. And I did last night. I sat there last night going, what's the fucking point? I've got a week off. I'm doing jack shit. And you do. You go into a negative space. You can't help it. You cannot help it. I can't reiterate that anymore. You can't help it. Your brain functions that way. What you need to do is build a coping mechanism in place to combat that. So that is, and like I said, I went out last night. I had a wonderful walk. I put my hoodie on, my fucking flip-flops and shorts, and I went out for a walk because it was a mild evening. I went out for a walk amongst nature, listening to the birds, listening to the owls, the dog just fucking trundling through, happy as Larry. And do you know what? It's amazing how, even when I was walking around the forested area, and it's quite scary at 11 o'clock at night, I don't get scared of anything, you know what I mean? But in terms of just the natural nature can be quite intimidating, but I enjoy it. But do you know what I enjoy seeing the most? My dog just walks around oblivious to world concerns. So, you know, you could be sat there going, I'm going to get fucking jumped, I'm going to get stabbed, I'm going to get fucking eaten alive, whatever. You could have all these things that we deal with on a daily basis, or we think about on a daily basis, or we see films that give us that, instill that little bit of fear into us. For me personally, I drive on it, and that's the adrenaline aspect, which is why it doesn't bother me. I think that's why I don't show fear, because if anything, fear to me is an adrenaline rush. So I tend to push myself to that point of fear, because the overload of adrenaline is what I crave. I live on adrenaline. So for me, it's not a problem. I fucking like function, like I'm quicker, I'm snapping all the time. But it was interesting to see my dog, and I looked down, and it's so amazing how they're carefree as dogs. He was walking through, diving into fucking bushes, didn't give a shit, walking through the fucking woods. I was like, mate, I'd love to be you, not a care in the world. And knowing that if anything did happen, he'd probably turn and fuck shit up, because he's a German Shepherd, for Christ's sake. But at the same time, doing that walk and feeling that feel, looking down at my dog and analysing that and smelling nature and being amongst trees really did help me. I came back, I slept like a log. I woke up this morning fresh. I come straight into a morning podcast, and just to try and show people that this is a battle, but it's a battle we can win. It's a battle we can kind of keep going. But at the same time, trying to offer that educational piece for friends out there. If you see a person that is feeling this or has reached out to you, fucking dive in, for Christ's sake. Don't let them just suffer alone. It's not fun for them. I can assure you it's not fun for me. Even though I know coping mechanisms, even though I know what I should be doing, I don't. I really don't. This is where the battle comes in, because I don't know what it is. I know what to do. You know what to do, but it takes me talking. And I spoke on my podcast and went, right, you spoke about this for 2 days now. You spoke about this. Why are you not doing it? Why are you not perking yourself up? Why are you not just fucking fighting it? Why are you allowing it to consume you? Why are you allowing that fog to drop back over your eyes again? And I'm like, I don't know. So I woke up this morning, I had my cold shower, which was fucking brilliant. And I came straight out and listened to, the first thing I listened to was my mate going, I'm here for you. I know you're not in the best of places when you have time off, and he's the opposite to me. He's completely the opposite. He'll sleep all day fucking long if you let. Well, he won't sleep all day, but he'll relax all day long. Whereas me, I'm fucking on point. I'm like a Duracell bunny. But it was important, so I listened to that message, and I listened to his positive vibe message, our little group, and I went, fab. That's what I needed, and it just kind of bolstered my mood. It just kind of, I was trying to perk myself up. That came in, and I came straight into the house and went, I'm doing a podcast. Fucking get it out there. This is the educational piece you need. This is what you need. If someone needs your support, show them that support. Show them that they need that little bit of guidance. Just reach in. How are you feeling, mate? I get very brain fog. I get a little bit selfish like that because I kind of go, it's really weird, but when I go into a low place, I become very selfish. And that's not me, because when I'm functioning normal, say normal in inverted commas, I'm really engaged with everybody and I try to make sure they're okay. When I'm not and I'm in a low mood like I've been, I go very selfish and go, no one fucking wants to be with me. I'm not interested in anyone else. Fuck all of you. It's like I did last night. And more so yesterday, I was like, I'm not going to organise shit. If you want to fucking do something, you contact me. If I can do it, I'll do it. If I won't, I won't. And that was my attitude. And I've gone, that's not you, James. You are an organiser. You like to organise things because you like to do things that are pushing the boundaries for other people, but also pushing the boundaries for yourself, and do something that's fun. And I do. I function like that. And the people around me, and it was important yesterday because my mate said to me, I'm the opposite to you. And I went, well, that's how we've stayed friends, because you're quite passive and I'm quite aggressive. So, it's kind not an aggressive, violent way, but it kind of, I am that Duracell bunny. So for him, he kind of sees it as it pulls him out of the chair that he's relaxing in and goes, fucking, I'm going to push my boundaries with this guy. We're going to make some fucking great memories and we're going to do some great shit together. And more importantly with that, it's understanding that I can't rely on him to do that, because that's not his nature, that's not his personality. And that's what I said about yesterday, more so the fact that I was like, I can't expect everyone to plan things, because that's what I do. And that's not how they function. I can't expect people to change for me, because that's not fair. I need to adapt and overcome and find a way to manage it that works for everybody. It's me with the problem, so I need to learn this. It's not them with the problem. So, and I've had a friend of mine tried to get me into a club, and I don't know why, but I think I do know why actually. It's mainly because I was going to join this new club, and a lot of things I've read with ADHD are get involved in team sports, because you're constantly learning off people. And the time isn't right for me at the moment because mentally I'm not there. I don't know why. But for me, it was about the uncertainty of going somewhere with somebody that I don't know. Now, that's the anxiety aspect that I have, that I don't mind doing things with people I know. And if he'd been here, and unfortunately he has recently left the country for a new role, his new job, if he'd been here, I probably would have gone, like, we'll go together, so that will help me. But to go to somewhere on my own and, meet new people, if you chuck me into that scenario, it's not something I will do on my own. It's not something I'll go and do. We all get anxiety when we start a new role, for instance. I remember walking into my job and it took 3 or 4 months to really get to feel like it was home. So when you go to a new club, and a lot of the reasons why I haven't joined a new club, I really want to try boxing, because I think it'd be good for my mental health, and it'll be good for me to get that adrenaline out. But again, it's going along on my own. I don't know anyone there. Is it going to be cliquey? It probably won't. But I like to go along to things with other people, because that is the icebreaker. I'm doing something with them. So if I'm put into a pair, I'm not put into a pair with somebody else I don't know. I'm put into a pair with somebody that I've gone along with. And 9 times out of 10, I will be fine afterwards. Probably the first session. The second session, I'll be like, fucking yeah, I've met such and such, and I'll run with it. But yeah, anyway, there's a lot to come with this. And like I said, this is a learning process. This is an educational piece for me and other people. But ultimately, talking has given me this drive. It's crazy. It's so important to talk and get these feelings out so that people can understand, more so your friends, so they can help you out and help you build these relationships. Build these sort of nurture. I'm sorry. I am looking out and the little bastards are eating my fucking grass seed. Get off my grass or put food out, you bastards. These fucking bunny hopping around. There's 6 of them. 6 of the little bastards eating my grass seeds. Little bastards. They don't know my grass is my life. Anyway, I'm going to cut it short there because I've got things to do. I said that 10 minutes ago. I hope you have an amazing day. I'm going to come back in, and once I've done this, I'm going to do my motivational minute, because I didn't do it yesterday because I wasn't in a motivational mood. But acknowledging that that motivational minute might actually help somebody. So thanks for listening. I hope whenever you've listened to this, the rest of your day, evening, will be prosperous and fun. And yeah, make sure you engage with your friends. Make sure you touch base with them. See how they're getting on. I know that sometimes it can be relentless. And sometimes if you've got a friend like me that's got mental health problems, I might not act normally. I might not acknowledge that I'm, how are you feeling? Because you go into a very selfish place. And I'm trying to pull myself out of that. So make sure you reach out and learn from this, and hopefully you might help somebody. So thanks again for listening, and I look forward to talking to you again. Motivational Minute will be coming up later, so look out for that one. Take care, everyone. Bye.